On average, I help athletes shave off 2/10 of the 100-meter time in about 6 weeks. And by the end of this video, you will know the exact exercises in order to build true speed. Today, I am ranking the best to worst exercises for your pure speed training, from S tier being super, F tier being fail. This is not one of those AI training programs, and this is not advice from fake internet coaches that have not actually competed at a high level themselves. This is real and updated continuously from an elite professional sprinter. I'm Lawrence Ella Johnson, a professional sprinter, former multiple-time D1 All-American and multiple-time conference champion, and school record holder. I've spent over 15 years competing at the highest level, excelling at the highest level, and refining my systems in order to compete. And the elite sprinters that I compete against are going to absolutely hate me for sharing you with these secrets. So let's dive in. Now let's break down these exercises one by one and rank them on these three criteria. 1. How well they translate to speed training. 2. How much tension they put on key muscles used during sprinting. And 3. How easy they are to progress over time. And remember, and stick into the end where I will reveal the best and the worst exercises to improve your sprint speed. All right, let's start off with back squat. Some of the pros here are that it builds overall leg strength, strengthens the glutes and hamstrings. Now on the cons, for the other hand, some of the cons are it doesn't mimic specific sprinting mechanics. The second con is that also shifts away the focus on other sprint specific muscles such as hamstrings. And the third con of back squat is that most sprinters overly rely on this, and it doesn't actually develop as much hip strength as something such as a hip thrust would do. So the overall verdict is that back squat is a very important lift, but it doesn't necessarily have the sprint specific training that we might be looking for. It's good, but it's more overall in the B tier in terms of exercises. So if back squat isn't the best, what exercises should we be doing to help increase our speed? Let's move on. Trap bar deadlift. This is by far one of the best compound movements for sprinters, mostly because of its explosive force production qualities. The two pros here are it strengthens all of the major muscles related to sprinting: your hamstrings, your glutes, your quads, and calves. The neutral grip makes it a lot easier on the back, so you aren't loading the spine continuously. And it closely mimics hip extension, which is vital for sprinting. We all know about triple extension, I hope. Now, some of the cons related to this: it doesn't target single leg strength. Sometimes athletes will put too much weight on a bar and then they start to lose proper sprint specific form from this lift. This is a powerful strength builder for sprinting, but there's ultimately an even better option out there for you. Overall, we'll put this one in the A tier for sprinting. Next is the Bulgarian split squat. This single leg movement is an absolute must for sprinters. Some of the pros are that it strengthens each leg independently, which will ultimately allow you to help fix imbalances as a sprinter. It targets your glutes, your hamstrings, and calves, and also your quads. We know how crucial these muscles are in turn for improving our acceleration as a sprinter. It also helps build stability and control, which is crucial for our max velocity phase of sprinting. The two main cons of this exercise: that if it's done incorrectly, it can put too much stress on your knee joints. And the second one is that it also requires some level of coordination and some level of balance. If you could only do one strength exercise that's not an Olympic lift, this would definitely be it. This one goes into the S tier. Hip thrusts are next. Hip thrusts are a fantastic way to help build hip and glute power. Some of the pros here is that it emphasizes hip extension, keeps low stress on the spine, and also help reduce hamstring injuries. Now, some of the cons here is that it only pretty much isolates the glutes. It doesn't involve other muscles such as your calves or your quads that are also important for sprinting. And it lacks single leg focus, so it doesn't really help with fixing imbalances as a sprinter. It's overall in helping you develop great power as a sprinter, focusing on those glutes, but it doesn't necessarily increase explosive power and force production. So we'll go ahead and throw it in the A tier. But if you want to increase explosive power and force production, let's look at the next one. This might be the most underrated exercises for sprinters, and this is the reversed sled pull. Some of the pros here is that it directly builds your quads and calves, which is essential for having explosive explosive strides, and explosive acceleration. It also mimics sprinting better than most other exercises, and it's super easy to progress. All you got to do is just increase load each week. Now, some of the cons are it does require a sled equipment, right? Some of you guys might not have sled equipment. And some athletes might use way too much weight that's going to ultimately slow down their movement patterns. But if you're not doing regular sled work or reverse sled work, you're ultimately leaving increased force production on the table and overall explosive power. We'll go ahead and throw this one into the S tier category. Next up, we have leg press. Leg press might be one of the absolute worst exercises you can do as a sprinter. I mean, there's absolutely zero activation of stabilizer muscles. It lacks balance, coordination, and ground reaction times, which are crucial for sprinting. And it doesn't mimic any movement pattern in terms of sprinting. Some people might pull up a video of like Usain Bolt or Johan Blake doing leg extensions, but you have no clue what time of year that was, what trainer phasing that was, or if they were maybe even trying to come back from an injury. So do not let anybody pull up a random training video of these great sprinters and say this is what you need to be doing. For the most part, leg press is a complete waste of time for sprinters. So if there was a way to throw this into a F tier, I would, but we're going to go ahead and throw it in the D tier. And this leads us with our last and final exercise, which is our weighted calf raises. Now, calves do play an extremely vital role in sprinting, but calves alone won't be the reason that make you faster. Now, some of the pros here are, ankle stability and foot strengthening, and it can improve push-off force in terms of acceleration. Now, lately here on social media, there's been a whole lot of hype around, maybe isometric holds for calves or calf training. But as an elite sprinter, this is something that we rarely ever do, right? And I wouldn't even say it's a focus of training. So take that with a grain of salt anytime you're on social media. Now, some more cons here is that calf raises don't truly train the full chain of sprinting. It really only focuses on one small part of it. And it's definitely not as effective as sprint drills or sled work. So the final verdict here is that it's good for stability, but it's definitely, by all means, not a game changer for speed. Overall, we'll go ahead and throw this in B tier because it's not much of a game changer at all. So there you have it, right? Some of the best actual exercises would be your single leg Bulgarian split squat, your reverse sled and sled pulls or sled pushes. And then the worst tier of exercises would be your single leg press or leg press in general. So now you've reached the end of this video and you have two options. You can either go and try to implement all of these exercises on your own, try to find out what's the rep ranges, what's the set ranges, and what time of year you should even be doing this type of training and these exercises. Or you can click the link below and join our free community of all sprinters getting faster. In this community, I teach you exactly step-by-step systems on how you can improve your sprint speed for free, from off-season training to in-season training to nutrition to recovery, sleep. Literally, I've put in a lot of time to try to help you guys in this community. There you guys have it, and I'll see you in the next video.